And through my work with the Youth Violence Commission, I have spoken with many young people whose friends have been stabbed, with the grieving families of victims and the traumatised friends of perpetrators. And if you trace the lives lost to violence or to long prison sentences back to childhood, you will hear familiar stories. Domestic abuse, neglect, childhood trauma, school exclusions. So let's take a child, and I'll call him Jack. Jack's father is unpredictable, often violent. His mother self-medicates to cope. She has few friends in the area where they live. She does not know her neighbours, and she is financially dependent on Jack's father. From an early age, Jack witnessed his mother being beaten and abused by his father. As a small child, he was withdrawn, anxious, and had trouble sleeping. When Jack started primary school, his teacher noticed that he struggled to concentrate most days. Sometimes he seemed utterly sleep-deprived. He was often late in the morning and had fallen behind with his schoolwork. Jack felt that he struggled to keep up with his classmates, and feeling anxious about this, he started to become more disruptive. By the time he starts secondary school, things have gotten worse. The police have been called to the house on several occasions, and Jack has been referred to social services. At 13-year-old, things have become so bad at home that the courts grant a court order and Jack is taken into care. He's placed with a foster family, which costs the council approximately £27,000 a year. Now, Jack struggles at school. He finds it hard to concentrate and is behind his classmates, so increasingly he skips school, and when he's there he has a reputation of being disruptive and aggressive. This behaviour has led him to be suspended on numerous occasions until, at the age of 14, he is permanently excluded from school and is sent to a pupil referral unit, which costs an average of £17,000 per pupil per year. Shortly afterwards, Jack assaults a boy who ends up in hospital with various injuries. He's now known to the police and has received a warning. The cost in response to a single crime like this is approximately £2,500 to the police and the criminal justice system. The immediate cost of health services for the victim is nearly £900. Jack is then referred to a youth offending team, costing about £1,500. Now, for a while, things get better. After moving placements several times, he settles with a foster family, and for a year, Jack doesn't reoffend. But shortly after turning 16, he goes to a party and a heated argument quickly descends into a fight. Jack struggles with how to handle his emotions, and he stabs another boy. He didn't expect this to be a fatal injury, but 2 days later, the victim dies in hospital from his injuries. Right now, at this point, we've lost 2 young lives. The devastating loss of these lives is not just felt by the family, it's felt by the whole community and across society too. The overall cost to the hospital are more than £2,000. The cost of services to the victim's family are about £6,000. After a trial by jury, which costs upwards of £150,000, Jack is sentenced to 15 years in prison. The average price per place per year in a young offenders institution is £76,000. The average cost of a single homicide to the police is more than £11,000, and to the criminal justice system it's more than £800,000. And then there are the further hidden costs of a homicide, the lost earnings of the victim and the perpetrator and of their families, the cost of the impact of the victim's family and friends' mental health, the cost of the fear of violence and the trauma on the wider community. In total, the Home Office estimates that one homicide costs society over £3 million. We have one boy dead, another boy in prison. By the time he is 18, Jack has cost the state nearly £4 million in interventions from the police, from social services, from youth offending teams, costs to the NHS, to the local council and the criminal justice system. Now, let's start the story differently. Let's add in some true early interventions. Imagine we have another child in similar circumstances. Let's call him John. When John's mother is pregnant with him, she attends a Sure Start centre in a local area. The Family Centre gives advice on family health, parenting, employment, training, and it's a good place for her to meet other expectant mothers. When John is born, she continues to attend regularly to see her friends and for advice on parenting and child health. On average, the programmes cost around £1,000 per year per child. Now, things at home are not easy. John regularly witnesses his father being physically abusive to his mother, and he's an anxious toddler as a result. While in the centre, one of the health visitors notices John's mother has signs of physical abuse and reports this to social services. The Children's Centre is aware and keeps an eye on her, and the group of John's friend's mother has made at the centre are supportive. John's mother, unfortunately, ended up in hospital, but the centre still supported her in leaving her partner. They refer her to a refuge, and the training and offer at the centre helps her to find a part-time job. The refuge place costs £52 a day, and the training costs £1,000. The Children's Centre is connected to a maintained nursery school which John attends when he's old enough. At nursery, he develops his communication skills, and by the time he is 4, John is seen as school ready. He is more independent and has strong social skills for his age. As a result, he settles in quickly, he makes friends, and he can keep up with his peers throughout primary school. Generally, things for John and his mother are much more settled by the time he starts secondary school. His mother is working full-time, and after having to move several times between friends and temporary accommodation, they have now been living in the same place for a year. The secondary school John attends has a school nurse and strong mental health support, meaning the teachers have time to work and support all children. The school has a zero exclusions policy as a result. Now, a school nurse will cost the school around £40,000 per year. John's mother works late, so after school John attends the youth centre down the road with his friends. As he gets older, the youth centre is also able to provide him with skills, training and advice on work experience. And the school has a dedicated police officer attached to it, who John and his friends occasionally play football with at lunch and confide in if they're concerned about something. The partnership between the local police force and John's school has also been beneficial for the police. In building up trust with the pupils and their parents, they are also able to obtain information about vulnerable children at risk of being groomed by gangs. This partnership usually costs about £50,000 per year. Now, John still suffers with anxiety and occasionally has problems controlling his temper, but the school has the resources to support John internally, and he receives mental health support for managing his temper. When he reaches the end of year 11, John leaves school with 5 good GCSEs. He has a part-time job and he's got into a local college to study business studies. He's also become a peer mentor via his youth centre and supports other young people. The cost of this early intervention is about £170,000 based on the crude estimates I've outlined in this story. The cost of failure for Jack is more than 20 times this amount. Not only will an early intervention approach save money, it also has the potential to save many lives. So we know early intervention is a key. A strategy focused on very early intervention and wraparound support would not only just reduce violence, but would also have wider benefits for society and to the economy. Research shows that adverse childhood experiences or traumatic incidents in childhood can have a lasting impact in adulthood. Compared with people who have no ACEs, those with 4 or more are 7 times more likely to have been involved in violence, 4 times more likely to have low levels of mental well-being, 11 times more likely to have been incarcerated. And as MPs, we need to be far more aware of this. And in an attempt to seek to raise a profile of this, I am writing to all MPs to ask them to complete a short online survey on how many ACEs they have, and I'm hoping that this will focus some minds. So in concluding my remarks, we have to stop just talking about early intervention, and we have to genuinely start resourcing and delivering early intervention. And this is what a true public health approach should be focused on, because every life is precious and our young people deserve the best start in life. Yeah.